Before we get into this episode, there's something that might be of interest that I wanted to tell you about. Scene and Heard, who run this podcast, have been asked by Scotland Food and Drink to undertake a strategic review of the Scotland Food and Drink Excellence Awards. Now, these Excellence Awards have been going for almost 20 years and are a huge mainstay of the food and drink sector. But it's time to ensure that they're still relevant. So if you have ever been involved in the Scotland Food and Drink Excellence Awards, or even if you've ever had an opinion about them, we would love for you, please, to complete our survey. So if you go to the OnFARM Twitter, which is at @on_farm UK, and click the link in the bio, there will be a tab in there that will take you to the survey, and it should only take you a very short while to complete, but we would be enormously grateful.
Okay, cool. Ready to go?
Yep.
Hi, it's Monty here, and I'm joined by two very special guests for this
Start
episode.
again, Monty. Start again.
Hi, it's Monty here for this episode of OnFARM, and I'm joined by two very special guests. I would say that because they're my colleagues. I've got Anna.
Hi, Monty.
And I've got Dave.
Hello, Monty. Hello, Anna.
Hi. This is our sort of last episode of the year, 2022. We're looking back on how the year has been. We're looking forward. Very important to look forward to 2023. And also, I think we ought to be able to slap ourselves on the back a little bit and say congrats, because at the very beginning of 2023, we will be able to celebrate 3 years of podcasting. And Dave, you know much more about this sector than we do in terms of how other podcasts perform and survive, etc. But I'm sure you've told me before that not many make it past their first birthday, never mind to 3.
There's a phenomenon called pod fade, Monty, which is a sort of a jargony word, but it basically means people giving up after a while. And most podcasts...
I feel like giving up.
You feel like... No, you don't. Don't lie. It's the highlight of your week.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Most podcasts... They say, I'm not sure there's hard and fast stats to this, but most podcasts only last sort of 5 or 6 episodes. So for us to be still here, 3 years in, you know, with the two of you and supported friends and colleagues, really banging the drum for rural Scotland and for the businesses that are supported across rural Scotland, I think you should pat yourselves on the back. You are doing and are continuing to do absolutely brilliant work.
We should be having a Christmas party, shouldn't we, to celebrate, or a birthday party? No, pod fade. Gosh, that sounds like an affliction that nobody really wants to suffer from. But at least
there's little blue tablets you can take for it, I think.
Yeah. Steady.
But at least none of us are suffering from that affliction, and
or pod fade.
Indeed. Oh, God. What did I let myself in for?
Do we need to start again?
Yeah.
No, you're fine.
Plow
You're
on,
fine,
plow
Dave. The magic editor will sort this
Dave
out.
can edit the bits out. It's tough, isn't it, at times? It's tough being organised to know what's coming next. It's tough herding all of the people, excuse the pun, seen and heard, herding all of the people that we need to herd and getting them available at the right time on the right day to talk to us either in person or through the computer. So it's not without its challenges, but I think when you get some of the feedback that we get from people, both people who've taken part, but also listeners, it makes it worthwhile. And that's kind of why we set out to do this in the first place. It's to tell real and in most cases positive, but not always positive, but real stories about what's happening in rural Scotland.
Well, wasn't it nice in 2022 to get back out and about onto farms?
Yeah.
We say this a lot, but we called the podcast On Farm because we wanted to be just that, on people's farms. Yeah. And obviously, you know, we set up just before the lockdown and lots of our episodes have been recorded over remote podcasting tools.
Yeah. a while we could have been called On Zoom, couldn't we? Because basically...
Right. On the internet.
Yes.
But I'm just looking back at some of the older episodes now. You went up to Aberdeenshire, didn't you,
Oh,
Anna?
my God. I was just going to say that because you was talking about getting out and about. I had, and it sounds really, really awful because I was on my own. And I had the best road trip because sometimes it's nice to take a road trip on your own. The best road trip up north. I met two organic farmers, members of SOPA, Michael Medlock and Callum Clark, who are both such nice guys, such interesting stories to tell about beef, sheep, chickens, ducks, all the things they farm.
Oh, my word.
So these chickens are a lot slower growing than you would get on the supermarket shelf.
Yes.
So we keep them inside.
And it's lovely and cosy.
Yeah.
They've got so much space. Kind of a happy life, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the idea is, we want the chicken to have as wholesome a life as possible.
Mm-hmm.
These cows are going into that dunes and they're foraging and marking it work, and it's growing and it's a habitat for animals and everything. These cows are paying for us. They're working for us as well. They're part of the team, and these calves are coming to producing the goods. Like these cows are producing the goods for us.
I chose amazing weather for it. I'd never been that far north on the Aberdeenshire coast before, way up beyond Peterhead. Stunning, stunning weather. I managed a sea swim in my undies, actually, but I was miles from anywhere, and there was nobody around. And it was brilliant. And as you said, Dave, it was so nice to actually meet people face to face. I got to, hold the ducklings and actually see what happens in day-to-day life on their farms. And I think we did an admirable job, if I say so myself, during lockdown. But I do think that you can tell better stories if you're meeting these people face to face.
You talk about going out and about, and I think live, and actually tillage live is a bit kind of niche, going to kick tires and look at machines and what have you.
I felt a bit out of my depth at Tillage Live, Monty, to be honest.
We had a laugh, Dave. We had a good laugh, to be fair.
If we're down at 20-30 mil, it's cold, dark, horrible, unmoved soil.
It's a long way for that little
it's
plant
going
to grow up.
use all its vigor.
Yeah.
That's why it's got to be bang on.
Yep.
The same with the closing, the same with parting the trash. That's why you've got all these air systems in here. It's all controlled in the cap because you need that tech to get it right.
So ploughing is a pastime now. Ploughing is a sport.
For a Saturday,
This is what the professionals are all about. It was a live event. It was nice to be out and about. Just rewinding slightly, what Anna said there about how it can be kind of hard sometimes to get something, put in place for every week. I must say that one of the things that's really standing out for me from this kind of past year has been Gillespie McAndrew coming on board as sponsors. But one of the things, and I say this to them, but I'll say it on the pod, one of the things that really makes it hard for me is I keep saying to them, right, okay, the plan for the next 4 episodes or whatever is X, Y, and Z. We'll be there, we'll be doing this. And you know what? Life keeps coming at us, doesn't it? Things keep changing. We just keep, we must do that instead, or this has come up. It makes it more challenging, but I think it makes it more interesting sometimes.
Yeah, and they know that, and they've been very understanding of it. And I think you're right. Sometimes an issue comes up or something is on a specific date, and you've just got to cover that. And again, that as you said, Monty, it's a juggling act, but the show always comes together in the end, I suppose.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a challenge, and I think sometimes I do take my hat off to Dave when things change at the last minute, or Dave's got to pull something together, or an edit from a recording on a Thursday.
Can I tell you my favourite thing that we did? Well, I did, I have to say. It was me. It was all me. I got to go to Lewis.
You did. You're lucky. Yeah, absolutely.
To go and see Donald McSween. And didn't he rip into me because I right royally peed him off. I had the temerity to suggest to Donald that where he lives is isolated and rural and a bit out of the way. And he quite rightly told me. Who do you think?
Remote.
Who do you
Remote.
think?
Is that
you used the word remote, Dave.
Remote.
Remote.
Yeah, he said,
Yes.
Well, let's just listen to the clip.
For the last 40, 50 years, they've been putting facilities in place that are fantastic.
And do you think some of that comes from being such an isolated, rural, cut-off place? You just have to do these things for yourself.
Whoa! You're throwing words out there. What are we cut off from? What are we isolated from? At least you didn't use the word remote. But you tell me, what am I isolated from? I'm not alone. I know 90% of the people within a 2-3 mile radius.
There you go. That's me getting myself torn a new one for quite rightly, absolutely quite rightly, for suggesting that people who live in far-flung places don't have community or people around. Of course, that's not what I meant, but he was quite right to pick me up on it as well.
No, and I suppose I wouldn't even know actually what the official dictionary definition of remote is, but to me it kind of means
the far northwest corner of the Western Isles.
Far away. And,
don't go there. Don't go there. Do not mean don't go there. Sorry.
Do go there. I've been there on my holidays and I didn't feel remote. And actually, what I did feel when I was there was you can feel the amazing sense of community actually that they have. So probably stronger than in many areas that are like urban, because
absolutely,
it's rural Scotland is renowned for the strength of community, and I suppose wherever you go, it's evident, isn't it? Really. But yes, I mean, I suppose that that I did see there was a bit of a Twitter storm about that the use of that word, Dave. And I don't know whether I should be glad or sad that's the only time we've created a Twitter storm. Because
fair play to Donald. He could have left me high and dry, but there were a few people who were quite angry with me, and Donald pitched in and said it was all lighthearted. Don't worry.
Yes,
and he managed to calm some of the more angry tweeters. But yeah, we're pretty good at not attracting angry tweeters for the most part.
Yes, we've never upset anybody before or since. So
steady.
That's good. But it does make me wonder, though, whether maybe does that mean that we're not addressing enough potentially controversial topics? Should we be talking about things that are potentially a little bit more divisive just because they deserve to be debated?
Yeah, I mean, I think we do. I don't think we shy away from the more contentious issues. I just think that from our point of view as OnFARM and as the presenters, anything about that was controversial shouldn't really be directed at us. We're just trying to to bring these issues to the fore. I hope that, I can play the daft laddie, for example, and probably sometimes I'm the daft laddie, but, ask the questions, get the answers and tell the story. It doesn't, I don't like to think that we are courting controversy or otherwise.
No. And in fact, as Dave highlighted with his trip to Lewis, we're often, all of us, learning something new on this podcast.
Absolutely.
I'm a horse owner, as are you, Monty, but I think it's fair to say that neither of us really knew very much about equine grass sickness, and we did 2 episodes on that, I think actually the year before last, but we're coming back in 2023, early in 2023, with an update. Now, I learned a huge amount just in the 45 minutes it took to record that episode, and I find that really valuable to learn something. And I hope that sometimes our listeners are able to learn something from the experts that we have on as well.
Knowledge transfer, is that what we call it?
Oh, yes. Very official, yeah.
I suppose as long as we're the conduit, because I ain't got very much knowledge to transfer, but if we can be a siphon and find others with some story to tell and some knowledge to transfer.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, I had a great chat this year, not that long ago actually, with Amanda Owen, the Yorkshire Shepherdess, and that was really fascinating because you think you have knowledge about her because you've seen her on the telly, but actually you realise that there's so much more to her than you see on telly, and that she is so much more down to earth than you might expect from somebody in a position like that. And
was she not stuffing porridge in her face?
She was eating porridge. She was literally sitting on the sofa that you see on telly, eating porridge for breakfast, and we just had a good old natter.
I've never set myself up to be a domestic goddess. I mean, you're looking at me on the screen now, and I'm kind of looking behind me. I think there's a discarded wetsuit. there looks to be some sort of supermarket trolley basket thing that's full of wood in the corner over there. There's a sleeping itchy dog that looks like it's rolled in something. But you know what? We're happy and we're getting on with it.
She was even more down to earth than I had anticipated, and we just had a great chat about, well, sheep and livestock and horses, her new book, and recipes and hearty recipes and feeding your family for, not much money, trying to be economical. And we talked quite a bit about women in agriculture as well, because I think she probably doesn't call herself an icon or an influencer, but I think she is really, and she's certainly doing great things for agriculture and for the role that women play in agriculture. Women are not just the other halves of the farmers. In many cases, they're doing it themselves. And I think that's kind of really important to highlight too.
It's interesting, isn't it, Dave? You'll have some idea of sort of listener stats and what have you, but I like to hope that our listeners enjoy the variety, because, we might have someone like Amanda Owen one week, and then the next week it could be, what am I looking for? Hard hitting or...
Just last week, Monty.
Yeah, last week.
We had James Porter.
Anyway. Yeah.
James Porter talking about the real concerns facing the fruit growing industry in Scotland.
I think it's pretty much guaranteed there'll be empty tunnels next year. If you want there to be any production at all, people need to start taking a serious look at how they're going to support it. That goes from retailers to government to unions to everyone. So, yeah, it's definitely a full-blown crisis now.
And actually, I'm really pleased we were able to do that. I'm really pleased we were able to shine a light on what is a clear and present concern. And I'd love to ensure that we really keep on at that in 2023. We keep looking at the challenges, the belt tightening, the innovation, because, as we've said before in the podcast, tough times make for better farmers. We need to really celebrate those people and champion them and find the people in, rural industries in Scotland that have got the solutions to this incredibly tough period that not just farming, but everybody's in just at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, one of the more recent episodes I can think of that I hope sort of did that for listeners, I certainly had a very interesting chat, was with Denise Walton from the Nature Friendly Farming Network. And, Denise was just such a mine of positivity, information, just thought-provoking stuff.
Unless you bring the function back to our landscapes, and as farmers we can do that to the areas that we farm, we're not going to do things like cycle carbon or cycle nitrogen properly and effectively. The most important thing there is organic matter. And hey, guess what produces the most amazing organic matter? But cows that graze walk organic matter into the ground and then poo on the ground.
Allowing people like that the chance to have their voice, to kick around the serious issues, to talk about some of the answers. I think if we can continue to do that, but going back to, for example, the James Porter episode, yes, there are people out there with serious concerns, serious issues, serious challenges. I'm not going to use the word problems because it's all a challenge, isn't it? Serious challenges to face up to. And, if we can maybe make that a theme in 2023 to bring more of those to the fore. And then also maybe look at some of the potential solutions.
Yeah, we can't just wring our hands and say, isn't this awful?
No. But farming is what's the best way to put it? It's such a multifaceted thing that we're never going to sit here or go out onto farm and speak to people that have all the answers and can tell people exactly how to solve and meet these challenges. But if we can maybe open our listeners' ears a little bit with some potential innovation, some potential new thoughts, then I hope we're doing a good job.
But as Monty's touched on, it's the sponsors that really help to make this happen. Because if you think about it, I travel to Aberdeenshire. Dave spends at least a full day editing episodes of this podcast. So that's all time and money. It costs us a lot of money to produce this podcast. And and yet it's also delivering good. So this is, I suppose, an unashamed plea to other Gillespie McAndrews out there or similar companies. We've had great support.
There's only one Gillespie
also.
McAndrew.
Of course. We have also had support this year from Safetra and Harrison and Hetherington. Is that right, Monty? And we've got an episode coming in the new year that's going to be sponsored by Horselicks. But we'd love more sponsors. It's not, contact us, please, because it's not as expensive as I think that you might think it is to support us and
you think
help.
That I think that you think it is.
Yeah.
Is that what?
Yeah.
Right,
Can't believe
They all
it's not
think that
butter.
I'm running a Ferrari, etc., but really, etc., etc. Yeah.
Safetra, etc.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Yeah.
We really do, for us to continue to these journeys and continue to tell these stories and continue to investigate some of the issues that need to be investigated, we need to fund this podcast. It is, unfortunately, or fortunately, that black and white. But you're not just giving us money, you're getting your name out there to the people who are listening. And we get, every day, we get upwards, well above 100 listeners every day who are listening to something for 40 minutes or more. You can reach potential customers through social media. You can reach them through an advert in the paper. You can reach them through an e-newsletter. And these are all very valid. And we've, in fact, used them ourselves. But the only way really to get in front of people for a solid and very concentrated and very loyal 40 minutes is either to see them in person or to reach them through a podcast. So unless you can organise a conference every single day of the year to which 100 dedicated people attend and hear your messaging, the next best thing is to get involved and sponsor our podcast. And it's to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, Gillespie McAndrew have had quite a number of punts this episode, but they deserve it because
Yes.
Not only have they been absolutely superb at helping us out with the costs and helping us pay for all the things we need to do to keep the podcast running and keep the podcast high quality, which is important.
Yes.
We didn't want to make
Yeah.
it. We didn't want to make it. Yeah, my Ferrari. We didn't want to make it a rubbish podcast that nobody listens to. But also the other thing about Gillespie McAndrew, I think this is really important, is that they just get it. They understand what it is that we're about. You might not everybody will be aware that they are the legal firm that provide free to the point of use the kind of legal helpline for NFU Scotland. So they are embedded in rural Scotland. They understand the need for the connection, the community, and what was the phrase you used earlier, Monty? Knowledge transfer.
Knowledge transfer.
And actually that's what we're looking for.
You've learned that, Dave. That is knowledge transfer at work.
We're not looking for people with big checkbooks. We're looking for people who just get it and who want to be part of that shared mission and share those values that we've got. I think that's really important.
And I'm also going to do a bit of another plug, actually. And I'm not comfortable plugging anything, really, so this is a bit out of character. Now, obviously, we think that OnFARM is the best rural podcast. And the stats kind of show that too.
Can I say my bit about the stats? I've got my rehearsed line.
Yeah.
Can I put my rehearsed line in now?
Yeah,
I've
in a
heard
minute.
this so many times.
I'll take a breath,
Good.
Monty, and then
Yeah,
you can.
big deep breath.
But
Everybody
what
ready?
I was
Get
going to say is that actually there are other podcasts out there, and there are people who are looking to improve their own podcast skills. So it's probably worth noting that if you have a podcast or you want to improve your own podcasting skills, you should give us a call, because Dave and I, or in particular Dave and I have already delivered some what we think, and the feedback suggested it was pretty good training for other people on how important podcasting is and how it should be added to the marketing mix. So again, that's something else that we can help with. We don't have to always be talking about OnFARM, and I always think it's like cheese. You don't have to just eat one cheese. You're far better off with a cheese board. So
especially this time
listen,
of year.
yeah, indeed.
Right.
Listen to lots of podcasts.
Are you quite
Monty's
finished?
itching.
Are you quite finished?
Go on, Monty.
Well, you see, so here we go. OnFARM, Scotland's Food, Agriculture and Rural Matters podcast, is benchmarking in the top 2% of 2.8 million podcasts globally. And all you have to do, you don't have to just take my word for this, is go onto a website called listennotes.com, which is actually a really good website with 2.8 million podcasts to browse through. Going back to what Anna said, there are other podcasts available. We are benchmarking in the top 2% of that. I can't believe it. I keep saying it because it just seems unreal to me, but we're doing that, and that's what you can be part of if you come on board. So there you are. That's my line said.
Indeed. And as I said before, it's directly into people's cars or living rooms or bathrooms, if that's your thing, to listen to a podcast in the bath. It's not just something that they're flicking through whilst they're having their lunch, or a quick social media post that they see for 5 seconds and then it disappears. This is 40 minutes that people are dedicating to listening to this because they want to, and I think that's really important as well.
I'll tell you what, though. Today isn't 40 minutes, so we're going to wrap up. We're going to start just quickly. What are we looking forward to? We've touched on a couple of things that we're looking forward to next year. What else?
I've got, I think, 3 episodes actually that we're soon to be creating to broadcast early next year with Scottish Land and Estates. They had their Helping It Happen awards in the autumn, and so we're going to be chatting to hopefully all 9, if we can get them all available at the right place at the right time, all 9 of the winners of those awards, and they vary from educational programs, the Be Your Best Self program, which I'm involved in as a winner, to Golden Eagle projects and a whole host of different things. So that's going to be a mini series in the new year. And we've got the grass sickness one, which I mentioned, and everything else totally slipped my mind. So, but we do have a spreadsheet, don't we?
Yeah, a spreadsheet. I've got 2 lined up that I want to look at in terms of rural careers and employment. One of them is, I think, kind of the plans are all afoot. I'm going to be looking at rural apprenticeships, rural careers.
And that's supported by the Scottish Government, isn't it?
Yep, hopefully. And also with potentially another sponsor coming on board for that. I've also got another one, which is a bit of a pet project of mine, the Scottish Racing Academy, which is about encouraging people to look at the racing industry as a career and getting young people involved. And a special plea from Monty for Christmas. We need a sponsor for that one. So if anyone's out there listening and wants to be involved, give us a shout, because we've got this really great story to tell and we just need a sponsor for that one. There's a few others lined up. There's a hard-hitting one I want to do about mental health. We've touched on mental health quite often in the programme. It's something that we're keen to promote. Keep talking. There's potentially a good one coming up as well, just as a teaser about a big event in Scotland's rural calendar for next year. But I'll leave that hanging just now.
Well, is it the one I'm thinking of?
Is it the one you're thinking of?
Is it the one I'm thinking of? It's not a big secret. It's on social media. I'm so excited about this summer, the Golden Shears International Shearing Competition coming to the Highlands Show.
I wasn't thinking of that.
Okay, fine.
Go ahead.
Fine. But that's one. I can't. I'm really hoping we can cover that because I want to.
Dave has already
backstage with my microphone.
Dave's already WhatsApped Alan Laidlaw, the chief executive of the Highland Society, to make sure he can get a front row seat for that one.
That's going to be amazing.
It'll be really good. That one, yeah, really interesting.
I'll dangle a carrot. I had another one that I'm thinking of, but anyway, I can't go too far into that just now.
But no, 2020. We are not pod fading in 2023. We're going to be going strong in 2023. Yeah. But we are taking a break. We're taking a break over Christmas and the New Year, so it's going to be a few weeks now until we're back with new episodes.
In case you hadn't already realised, we tend to stick roughly to the school term time. We've all got kids. It just makes sense. A lot of people are busy in the holidays, so it made sense. So more or less, you can expect a new episode every Monday during term time, depending on which area you live in. But that kind of is roughly the rule of thumb. One more
Some
plug
terms
from
are
me
longer than
before
others.
we go. Well, indeed, they are. Yeah, another plug from me. God, I'm really getting to the swing of it now. The OnFARM Academy, I wanted to do a quick plug for that, please. If you or any of your teams in the organisation or company that you work for feel lost, confused, behind the times, or whatever when it comes to social media. Monty's got his hand up, definitely.
We've got
All
him on
three
WhatsApp
of
this
those
year
things,
at last.
Monty, or just one? When it comes to social media primarily, you must check out the OnFARM Academy. We'll put a link in the show notes to it because effectively it's pre-recorded, downloadable training. Each session only takes approximately 45 minutes of your time, and you can do a course on, for example, Instagram Reels. If you've heard that Reels are the things that you must be doing on Instagram, which they are, but you've no idea how to do it, then you can listen to the sultry tones of Pam, who's from our team, telling you all about how to do it for best effect. And
We're
so
going to
we've
need
got
that before the new year, are we not? We're going to need to learn our reels before the new year. Is that not
Well,
right?
yes, you
jigs and
will,
reels.
Monty. Yeah, get your comfy shoes on. That's how much Monty knows about social media, folks.
We did a
So
podcast
check out.
episode with Pam, didn't she?
We
So that is
did.
your
Pam
primer,
was
your kind of
amazing. Yeah.
introduction.
So check out the link in the show notes, and you can head in and choose from a whole range of different training. Something that could while away the evenings over Christmas or whenever. But yeah, go and check it out. I think I made a list of things I wanted to mention, and I think that's me done. So I can hand over to somebody else now.
So, on that note, is it a happy Christmas from us? And best wishes for 2023.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Whatever you're doing or wherever you are, have a great Christmas and New Year.
Happy Christmas, one and all. Thank you
Indeed,
very much
yes.
for being with us.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah,
2022. And we'll catch you middle of January.
On the flip side, I thought you were going to say.
Catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.
See you on the other side.
So that's it from us, and bye for now.
Bye-bye.